Okay, so now we have the existing pavement modeled, which include the 969 pavement. We're showing some widening, and then gutter, existing gutter, right? Well, while we're talking about the existing items, of course, sometimes we need to remove all or part of the existing. So let's go ahead and cover that. And I'll bring in my typical section. So what I did on this project was actually a couple of years ago, and I guess at that time I honestly didn't know how to show the automated or cross-hatching or patterning of the model on the sheets. And so I just went in with just regular microstation commands and cross-hatched the cross-section, just like we may have done in the past or like you would do in a plan view. But that's really not the best way to go about it. So anyway, watched a video yesterday so I can teach myself how to automate this, which is probably what I should have done to begin with. And I found this great video on the side, the Civil TSG. If you haven't subscribed already to it, highly recommend. It's very, very good for learning ORD. But anyway, I watched this video here, and I'm going to show you what I learned. So, okay, here's what you do. Here are the steps for showing the removal of the gutter. Now, like I said, you may be removing all of the gutter within this template, or you might just be, removing from a certain station range. So we're going to set this up so you could really do either one. I'm going to click on template, go into that template that we have been working with all along, and we can see our existing gutter here. We also talked yesterday about, or when the last time we made the video, which was yesterday, that I normally put all this existing down lower. Again, like I said, you don't have to. It's just for me easier to work with. But we were saying that the way that this works, the way these points work, and let me show you these points, is that the point is actually going to project to surface. So even though it's way down here, when it models it, that point actually shoots up, or in any direction, but in this case it's up to the active terrain model. Okay, so that's important to know that. It's important to know which points are doing that. And okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to our dynamic settings first and set this to 0.1 so that we can snap. We are going to set a feature definition. And as of right now, there aren't any removal feature definitions in the IDOT library. I would expect those to be created at some point. I know there's some talks with it right now, but since there's none at the moment, we are just going to use a somewhat random feature definition. So let's see. I'm going to go down to template points. We'll just call it, I think we'll just say curb and gutter, and we'll just use one of these for now. And okay, so now we are set to create a component. So now I can actually exit out of that. So I'm going to right click, say add new component, select constrained, and then here, let's see, I can snap to this point here, and it's just going to kind of merge this point into the existing point that's already there. It's not really going to create a new point. But for the ones up here, I don't necessarily want it to merge because I want to be able to control which point that I'm going to place that with. So what I did was I just placed those 2 points off to the side, and then it was fine to just merge that bottom point. And then what I did was I just went back to that point, and you can give that point a name. Like I said, there's no feature definitions now set up, so using the predefined names aren't going to do us any good at the moment, because normally the predefined names would have a predefined feature definition. So, but there is no feature definition. Okay, so we'll just call that removal. And like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and select maybe this curb and gutter. Yeah, that'll be good for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this point over on top of that point that's going to be projecting up to the surface. So I click there, and then it shows me which points are available. And I looked ahead. I know that it's this one with the PTS that is projecting up to the surface. So for both, I'm going to set a constraint both horizontally and vertically. So if I set those values to 0 and I click on apply, you see it's going to move that point over to the exact same location, but it's also going to not merge the point. It's going to actually keep the point for us for now. And then I would do the same thing for that second one, and we'll do the same thing there. I'll just call that removal 2. You can set a feature definition if you like. I guess I could have used do not construct, but I'll be consistent and use this one that at least it's associated to curb and gutter anyway. So I'm going to double click on the point, do the same thing here. I'm going to select, I know it's that PTS one that's going to project to the surface. Same here, project to the surface, set my constraint values to 0. And now we are all set with our points. And we did create a component. So let's look at that component. So I can try to get it over here by double click on it, or I can come over to active template. Sometimes it's easier to just do that. And then I look over in this template and I see the components that are available. I see one that says unrecognized feature. That's because I guess I did not give it a name in those dynamic settings, but I can always edit that and I can give it a name here. And hopefully at some point we'll get these removal feature definitions created, and also hopefully the pay items. Hopefully we can get those added into the IDOT workspace. But that's okay. We can get by without them for now. But we'll call this. Let's call it left pave removal. And in the future, hopefully what you'll do is when you select that name, it'll be one of the choices, and then that feature definition that is going to be associated to that point is going to be, it's automatically going to set this for you to that pavement removal, but it's not that way now. So instead, let's go to, let's see, let's set a feature definition. Yeah, I guess we'll just go curb and gutter. Okay, like I said, these feature definitions don't exist yet, so I have to grab something that isn't really what it is. But I'm going to grab this one that says curb and gutter subgrade. I'll click OK. And so now I am set to model that pavement removal. In the shape of it, the end section is going to be exactly the same as what that gutter is. Oh, actually, I guess I maybe should have called this curb and gutter removal, not pavement removal. Pavement removal would be right in this area right here, because we are going to remove that pavement as well. But we'll go ahead and leave it. It's fine. So let's go ahead and save that off. And then what do we do right after we update our template, of course, the answer is to synchronize our template if it was already placed in the corridor, which it has. So I right click on that template and I synchronize. There. When I do so, there I can see the removal item. Oh, I see. Maybe this is a. I guess I would have to adjust this in some way. We may need more points in here. In this case, the points. I would probably just need a couple points throughout this to get this to follow the existing gutter a little bit better. As you can see right now, it just went from one point to the next. And now the reason why it automatically showed that cross-hatching too was because, and this will be set up for you, eventually. But for now, what you can do like I did, and which is basically follow this video along. And what you can do is you go up to the home button, and then I go to the element templates, manage. And then notice what I'm changing here is only in the corridor file, right? It's not. I'm not changing like the IDOT standards or anything. I can't do that anyway because those are read only. So I'm just changing this in the file itself. But I'm going to go to modeling, and then components, curb and gutter, and then remember I selected that subgrade. Okay, I was practicing with this earlier. Let me remove this because I'm going to show you from scratch. I meant to get rid of that first. Because normally when you would open this up as of today, since this is not in the environment already, what you need to do is whatever feature definition you used, and then so you go back to, which is most likely the same name in this element template, and you right click on it and you say add. And here you can either add hatching or cross hatching or patterning, any of these items. If you want a single hatch, you just click hatching, the first time. If you want it to be cross hatched, I have to go back and add hatching a second time. And then I just expand these two boxes out. And then also by default, this annotation is normally set to true. I like to set it to false so I can control, exactly what the spacing is. But you could annotate this or not. I'm not going to annotate it, which means whatever number I set in, no matter what my annotation scale is, it's not going to look at that. It's just going to use the number that I key in here. And let's see, why is it not letting me modify this? Hang on one sec. Okay, I had to pause 1 second there. The reason why I wasn't able to change that was because as I was teaching myself how to do this just a few minutes ago, I went in and set this up already. So I changed it back to the way it would look when you get into this for the first time. And then, as a matter of fact, if this would have been changed like this, right when I did the synchronizing of the library, it wouldn't have come in, pre-hatched, so to speak. Okay, but what you would see is the removal component, right? So what we're doing here is we're going to add the cross hatching. And here are the steps. Again, following that video, you could follow that or stay with me here. And I'll try to run through the same thing that I learned on this video. And that was to just go to the home button, go to manage. Again, go to whatever feature definition that was used. And it was that subgrade there. And like I said, I'm just going to right click. I'm going to add hatching here. And then, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to come in as true. If you want to leave it true, this number's got to be extremely small. Let's see. Yeah, normally none of this would be set. there. Okay, so I'm going to change that to false. And like I said, I know that like a 0.3 works out well in this particular case. But you can change this at any point, and just on the fly, it'll just dynamically, just automatically, update your model for you. So yeah, is what I want right there, and you can see that it automatically shows up for me right there. Oh, one other thing that I should have done here. Probably should go back and redo this. Again, I did this when I was practicing. That cross-hatching is not going to show up immediately right there. What you do have to do before you see that cross-hatching normally would be you go over to that component that you modeled. You go to the element info, and then you drop down to where it says template right here. And you would then change that, down here, template, and then there you would actually set it to where is it at? Oh, components. I use curb and gutter and surface right there. Okay, and then once you set that template, then this cross-hatching would then show up for you. And as you can see that it's showing up for us not only in this dynamic, cross-section view, but also when I open up my cross-section sheets file, it's going to look just like this. It's going to be hatched as well. But I like this idea of placing a separate component for the removal item, again, just because then I can control the station to station, and I would do that with a display rule where I could turn it on and off just for a certain station amount. So that way I could still see my existing gutter for the entire length, but I would only see the removal from a station to station. So I kind of like that method. Now, if it was a proposed item, that would probably be a different case. I would say since I've got the availability of both hatching, cross-hatching, or even patterning, using the same exact technique, actually the patterning is probably going to be a little easier because the patterning's most likely going to take place with a proposed item. So most likely, if you're going to use patterning, you're going to show that on proposed, cross-hatching on existing removal. So in that case, you would already have the component. That feature definition would already be set. And really, the only thing that you would do is you would just go up to that element template, click Manage, and then look for the corresponding, component and whatever it was set to, which I think in this case, like if I'm looking at proposed gutter, it would be, this one here. And then I could right click on it and I would set up my patterning. So, okay, video's getting long. We'll stop it there. Again, since honestly, this other guy covered this topic way better than I did. So I definitely encourage you to go to this site. I think it's somehow associated to Bentley. I don't know what the deal is there. But like I said, check it out for sure. You can see they have a lot of subscribers. They've got some fantastic videos in here. And they did a really good job of covering cross-hatching and patterning of cross-sections.